Today we have a really decent show with some really neat surprises as well as the usual stuff. Today we have a really decent show with some really neat surprises as well as the usual stuff.
Chill.
Who are you gonna call?
Me and you.
Who are Seth Worley and Daniel Hashimoto. We make up 2/3 of the VFX and Chill crew here, and the third member would be right over or left over there.
And I make up a quarter of the team.
Woo!
A quarter. Yes.
Oh man, that's some ugly math.
1/4
in
which we only need 75 cents. The price for VFX and Chill is 75 cents, and we're all 100% here today.
The price of VFX and Chill is liking, commenting, subscribing, belling, and all the other things that we never say, but probably should.
And $30
we
shipped
should.
straight to me.
Yeah, if you're here right on the page, just give us a little
$30.
like.
Always ask
right
people
there.
to subscribe and like before they even see the content. And let me tell you, we do have some good content, so just trust us.
We have some good content. We have some
content.
Well, maybe not follow along, but you could absolutely watch a lot of this and learn how to do some really cool stuff with some rigging, as featured in that awesome intro. Seth, that was a really cool intro.
It was, Hashi. Great work.
I feel like I want to.
Great work, both of us.
It was a joint effort.
It was a joint effort. The coolest stuff, which was, in my opinion, the car and the me wearing my favorite Ghostbusters jumpsuit, the darker Ghostbusters 2 jumpsuit, and you driving, and me in the gunner seat shooting an unseen ghost off screen. Really, that's like the wish list, the list you put down of the things that you want. And a Friday, you delivered. I handled the environment and the all the ghosty doodads. I think it came out fun.
It was an aggressive environment. It was a lot going on in there.
Yeah, don't look at the last part. The city doesn't look great in the background of the last part. But you know what? It played once, and it'll probably play next week when we run out of time to create our intro for next week. But other than that, you know, it's not. It's almost forever. Yeah. What seemed like we've established our theme for this week in the intro. For any dummies out there, you want to maybe spell it out for them?
Absolutely. I believe that a trailer for a new Ghostbusters, I think Ghost Core movie is what they want us to call them, right?
I hope. I think that's the production company name. I'm not sure that's actually
a new installment in the Ghost Core universe.
Yeah.
The Ghost Corpse universe.
The Ghost Corpse.
Ghost Corpse. It's a dead ghost.
You want to take a look at this trailer?
Perfect. We have a trailer right here. So let's take a look. They're doing here we go. Our friends Sony.
What is that?
Day after tomorrow.
Oh, I don't remember this part.
That's a cool effect.
Yeah. That's an interesting choice.
A lot of movement. A lot of life.
Wow.
For the first
Celebration.
time in New York history, people froze to death in the middle of July.
Is that guy naked? Wow, what an interesting...
Frozen Empire. That's an interest. I do not know who's directing this one, but that was some interesting choices.
It was some interesting
Lin-Manuel
choices.
Miranda.
Yes, Lin-Manuel Miranda is directing.
Famous choreographer.
God, what an incredible Ghostbusters movie that would be. I don't know what that was from, Hashi. What the hell just happened?
I delivered. Every now and then I like to upload a pretend thing for Seth to play, and I'm like, here's the trailer. I got it for you, and it'll just be something else. That was an amazing
blindly
Burberry ad. I am assuming they are a clothing company.
I think so.
They are a high-end clothing company from England and famous for that particular tartan pattern everyone in that ad was wearing.
Michael, you okay over there?
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, you sounded like you broke for a second. Oh, I forgot. Forgot that close.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I also, when I exported my fake trailer, I exported my entire Premiere timeline. So it's this ginormous clip with like black and all of my tails at the end.
Kevin Rupp from the chat is saying that it was an epic intro. And Andrew Smith says, howdy all, happy Friday. Jamie Hashimoto says hi.
Jamie! I forgot to make that drop. I was going to make that drop this week. I hope that Jamie's familiar with Jingle All the Way. If not, you failed as a father.
I've had the kids watch Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, they are required to watch Jingle All the Way. You must force the children. The Bible says so.
Justin Leduc says they don't want to kill the vibe, but the trailer was Lag City.
Justin, thank you. I'm glad that you didn't succeed in killing the vibe at all.
Oh man!
Well, I'm being so mean to Justin lately. A returning frequent like viewer and supporter of our show.
The most participatory member of our chillins.
The reward for supporting our show and being here every week is I treat you like garbage. I hope that's an okay understanding we have with our fans.
It's like, yeah, if you go to a comedy show and you sit up front,
absolutely
expect to meet your heroes up close. And
speaking of heroes up close, why don't we talk about this actual real trailer, Sans Dancing?
That sounds fair, actually.
As I understand it, this one is directed by Gil Kinnan, who many might he's directed a couple things since this, but Monster House was the first thing I ever saw of Gil Kinnan's.
Monster House,
which is a very underappreciated Sony animated film from the 2000s.
That's a fun one.
He also co-wrote the Ghostbusters Afterlife with Jason Reitman, who I believe also produces this as well. This is a really fun trailer, and I think you and I are looking at this going, we could do some of that Froze stuff, right?
Ooh, yeah.
You've literally done it in like 3 tutorials.
I've done so many freezing kind of tutorials. Specifically, I think it's one of the shorter ones. What are the short ones called? The short cheap tricks is the
cheaper tricks.
You have a VFX side quest called the Sub-Zero
VFX
Ice
side quest, the very successful rebrand of short tutorials.
We're very good.
I remember every day.
Yeah.
There's a VFX side quest featuring I think on Frozen 2. Maybe it's actually cheap tricks on Frozen.
No, you have a cheap tricks on Frozen 2.
Nick Smith said I read somewhere that they really wanted this to have the vibe of the real Ghostbusters 80s cartoon. I want to point out, I don't have it on hand, but there are several wonderful visual references to the cartoon in Ghostbusters Afterlife, the previous Jason Reitman Ghostbusters film. My favorite of which is the eye socket ghost. If you remember the real Ghostbusters toys, there was one that everybody had in the house somewhere where he squeezed it and the eyeball with the string attached popped out. That ghost is actually in Ghostbusters Afterlife toward the end, which I loved.
Amazing. Oh, and Your Mom Plays Mario is also in the chat asking me to tell about... we went to see, when I was working at DreamWorks, we got to see lots of cool like animation premieres and things like that, and got invited to a pre-screening of Monster House, and we brought a child that Mandy was mentoring at the time to it. And we thought, oh, this will be fun. Like, you can get to see a new animated movie. And at this premiere, before the release of the movie, this kid had apparently seen a bootleg version of this movie already that he had at his house on DVD, and shouted out, like, spoiler alerts for Monster House, but it was like, oh, this is the one where the lady's buried in the basement.
Oh my gosh.
Like right off the bat, like out loud in the theater, and we're like, what are you talking about? And then we realized that he had seen this filmed somewhere on some DVD that he bought in Koreatown.
Absolutely incredible. Before it was even out.
Before it was out. So they were quick.
And that kid was Gil Kinnan, director of Monster House.
Director of Monster House.
That's amazing.
But anyway, if you're looking for ice and freezing effects, the links to the Sub-Zero Ice Blade effect from Hashi's VFX side quest and Hashi's Cheap Tricks Frozen 2 are both linked in the chat.
That's why I forgot that Sub-Zero Ice Blade was separate from Frozen. I felt like it was short.
You always forget
do.
that
I
those
always
are not
confuse.
the same franchise. That Sub-Zero is not a
have
character
those
from
ice
Frozen.
powers. Anyway.
So today we're going to be doing freezing effects. I hear we're also going to be. I saw on X. I saw on X that Hashi's got a cool rig thing we might be looking at today too. Which
Is anybody
I'm
live
very
in Kentucky who can check on Michael today? I'm just worried about. Just kidding.
I think Michael's lagging. Have we tried unplugging and replugging in the Michael?
The Michael.
There are some jokes that I will leave.
I'm going to pull up that the intro and share my screen so we can play through it a bit. Let me see. Where did we save that? Oh yeah, we've got we've got intro renders,
folder.
right?
All right, it's our intros folder for whenever we inevitably run out of content and want to look back on, do a retrospective of this season of things.
Well, that'll be a fun day, I think. Actually,
let's get to VFX quickly, guys. How about you get to VFX quickly, Guy?
All right, so I'm sharing my screen just so for the purpose of being able to pull up our intro. Great prompt, by the way.
Thank you. My most often quoted line from Ghostbusters. That and what about the Twinkie?
What about the Twinkie? So here we have our delicious.
You're going too fast. Go back and break down all the little Easter eggs you put on that thing.
So we've got our exciting, new vehicle for this week is this. We call it the Universe Ecto 1, which is pretty great. We've got
it's pretty good.
We've got the no Velociraptors logo.
Real quick, can we talk about the logo before we can? I do want to. I know our one fan really wants us to get to the VFX quickly, but this is an important thing, and we're talking Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2. The logo for Ghostbusters 2 is the ghost in the red no sign, holding out the number 2, right? His finger. Yeah, so there we have the logo on the
switch
set.
To because you never wanted to have just one outfit. So let me quickly replace this.
Absolutely, and this is, as I stated before, my favorite of the Ghostbusters suits because I love the dark gray. Now, this was the logo on all the posters and all the advertising for Ghostbusters 2, was this really fun version of the Ghostbuster going, 2 of the ghost saying that. In the film, however, that logo is on the car and their suits, which is the most confusing thing in the world to me. It's like if in the Lost World Jurassic Park they all took Jeeps that had the Lost World Jurassic Park logo on the side,
the Universal logo.
This ghost is just saying peace, man, and it just happened to work out that peace symbol is also 2.
It's never explained in the story, so therefore, Robbie Stambler. Holy hell, Robbie Stambler in the chat. I just saw. How are you, buddy?
He's at least surprised looking in the original logo. It's like, what? I just got caught. This one's even happier and cuter.
He's very
and
cool
making
with
a
getting
peace
caught.
sign, and they're going to go murder him.
not murder, just contain for all of eternity.
All the terms.
Just in prison forever in a tiny jar.
Contain their non-corporeal form.
Totally. But for real, and this makes me, if I have an idea, if randomly Hashi ends up teaching something wildly educational that I'll never surpass in usefulness, I think what I'll end up doing is I want to go and just put movie logos into their own movies, like the Batman v Superman logo, where they put the bat awkwardly in the Superman logo. I just want to put that on Superman's chest and Batman's chest, confusingly.
That should have absolutely been on the final Batman v Superman outfit when it came out.
Yeah, both of them at the end standing with the same logo. Like,
this is my Superman punching outfit.
We've merged. we experienced a merger, which actually sounds wildly dirty. So
Nick Smith has a good in-universe explanation for the two, implying that between the first and second film, the firehouse burned down and was rebuilt. Axon Media Los Angeles suggests that it was just a V for victory.
Oh, that's it.
And,
it was a V for victory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, classic. That makes sense.
I'd
So
like-
I'm
I'd
playing
like
in a
to
little
have
loop
the clip,
here.
the deleted scene from Ghostbusters 2, where it's, the montage, they're pulling out of the garage and they're flying down the road with a close up of the 2 sign, I think. And then you have somebody like, "Hey, Ghostbusters, what's up with the logo?" And they stop and they pull back and they're like, "I'm a cabbie from the Bronx." And they're like, "Listen, so we're thinking it's a V for victory because it burned down." Like, I want like a 5-minute scene where all the momentum of the story just stops, much like on the show right now. And Dan Aykroyd just explains everything. Now, I do, however, I want to know about this rig. This is a very funny rig.
So one of the things that I love the very most is figuring out bizarre rigs that require me to do very little keyframing. For example, this whole thing is built up of a lot of dynamics, which is really cool because animating humans is hard, but animating like weird little vibrate tags and little physics sims is much more approachable.
Can I also say my body looks just as awkward in a jumpsuit in the computer as it does in real life.
Can I just say how funny it is that Hashi's like, animating position, scale, rotation, hard. Physics simulations, easy.
Welcome to VFX and Chill.
Rather, maybe a better description is that animating with physics sims, infinitely iterative, where if something didn't go right, I can try something completely different with this setup. For example, at any time, if I wanted to, I can grab this chair and, well, I guess it's locked under there now. I can swing it around the screen and have Seth react to whatever I did with this thing, which is pretty fun.
This is great because this is the goal we've had with these intros. This is the rig that we've wanted to build for if we would always run out of time. Is we want to have the car flying around and have us inside just like flailing about like idiots.
Well, like we're doing some sort of motion test or something.
Some sort of motion
exactly.
test. Exactly.
And in fact, look, we've got Seth who also won't.
This motion test is lagging. Yeah. All right.
So how did you build this rig, Hash? Could you kind of walk
I
us
would
through,
love to
walk
tell
us
you
through
all how I
this?
built this rig.
And how'd you break it?
In fact, I think that it would be kind of fun to talk about this in flashback form. What do y'all think?
Ooh, I love that idea. But I don't have a drop for it, so we'll have to recreate it from scratch. Hashi, where are you? There we go.
All right, so I've got this amazing Ghostbuster Seth, rigged a little bit bizarrely by Mixamo. He's got some broken fingers, but we'll just ignore that for now. The goal is he's been rigged by Mixamo, but I would like it, and so I could actually just use this proton gun and kind of aim it around or move it, and that will be wherever Seth's hands go. So instead of having to animate all of Seth moving around with this gun, I just want to be able to like wiggle the gun around. So it seems like a pretty straightforward setup that you might run into. So here's what we do. I've got this proton pack back here. I've got this hose, which is going to be a whole nother thing to solve at the end of this. But mainly we've got the gun and we've got this relative, firing something kind of pose. So I'm going to grab the proton gun and I'm going to sort of move it into place. Now, one important thing is that I've stripped all of the keyframes from this original Mixamo animation, and I really just have the pose. So I can kind of pose this Seth as needed. I can kind of modify the arm and the forearm there to kind of be slightly gripping onto the end of the gun there. And then I'm going to adjust the left arm to sort of be cradling the gun here, wherever is appropriate, maybe turning it in a little bit more like that. So we've got everything positioned properly right here, but the gun is still not connected at all to the hands. It doesn't really do anything yet. So to do that, we're going to have to play with this a little bit. Now, one thing that often happens if you've imported a Mixamo character is that you might need to go to the takes right here and tap on this lock button. Right now, the overrides are locked, which means that a lot of the attributes and properties won't be modifiable. So I'm just going to unlock that. That's a little pro tip right there that happens sometimes, and it's very silly. But now, if I go into objects, I can add different tags and things to all of these little joints. So let's start with the left shoulder, and that's basically the base of where I want this arm animation to start from. So on the left shoulder, I'm going to right-click and go to Rigging Tags, and then IK for Inverse Kinematics. Now you'll see that there are all these little options within the attributes of this tag right here. Specifically, there are a couple of things when you're using IK. IK is basically driving the arm via the hand animation or something like that, or driving the whole leg animation via the foot. You get it. Anyway, the properties that we need here are we need to know what the end of the IK chain is, and then the IK chain needs to have a position goal here. And I can drag the left hand right here down into the end here to establish that that is the chain that I want to be affected. And then for goal, I'm going to say add a goal because I don't have an object yet that I want to use for the goal. So I'll say add goal. And it doesn't look like anything has happened up here, but that's because I need to kind of collapse this. And you'll see that outside that large joint, if you collapse it, you'll see that it's placed this Mixamo left-hand goal here. And it's just a little null that's right on the position of wherever that hand is. And you can leave it there, or you can start to move it around. And now you can see that this arm is being controlled by that left-hand goal. But I'm going to undo and just leave it exactly where it is for right now. And I'm going to do the exact same setup for the right shoulder. So here we're going to go to the right shoulder. We're going to say Rigging Tags, IK. Then we're going to drag the right hand this time into the end. And we're going to click on the Add Goal button. And you'll see that just like before, when I collapse the right shoulder joint, you'll see that it's created the right hand goal and the left hand goal. So now you see if I grab both of these together, shift select those, I can move the hand together, which is pretty nice, pretty cool. So I'm going to undo that, and then I'm going to take these two goals, and instead of keeping them sandwiched here in the hierarchy for the skeleton, I'm going to drag them up here to be a child of the proton pack gun. And now you can see the magic is happening. I can rotate this gun all around, forth, all around, and now Seth is holding on for dear life to this proton gun, which is really wonderful. And one of the fun things about a situation like this is I could look at the center of this proton gun and know that in general that there's sort of, there's a spray radius that would make sense for this proton gun. And instead of using this middle point, I could actually adjust the axis right here, which I'm going to do. It back, and so Seth's shooting more from the hip here. So his hip is going to be the kind of rotation gimbal for this whole thing to move around. So now, if I disable that and switch to rotation mode, I should just be able to grab the center there and point the gun any direction that I want. And now I've got Seth kind of moving around, and that's pretty cool. One cool thing about these tags is that they could sort of sprout from anywhere as long as they're, upstream of this joint setup that you have. So if I wanted to, instead of just the shoulder moving around whenever this proton gun moves, so you'll see just the arms are moving, but the body isn't, I could actually pick a point lower in the skeleton that could be controlled by all of this as well. So instead of just the left shoulder down to the hand, those 4 joints, if I look at the hierarchy, I could actually go all the way down to something like the spine or the hips. You pretty much never want to use the hips because in a Mixamo case, it rotates the whole skeleton. But I could drag this tag all the way back to the lower spine here. And now you'll see that it still is using the left hand as the terminus of its little IK chain, which will still be down here in there. And now if I go to my proton gun and rotate it around, you'll see that now Seth is moving this arm around a little bit to meet the proton gun in that place, but whatever the left hand does, it sort of dictates where the body is going to move now. And so now I'm getting a lot of fun and free animation just from moving this proton gun around. And that's because the proton gun obviously has these 2 goals for the hand position, which is pretty cool. So now I've got a lot of that cool stuff working out. Let's put the proton gun in sort of a default forward-looking phase. This is kind of cool. So now I've got all of this kind of animation that can come from here. Now, I've noticed that this hand has come a little bit off the gun, so has that one. It's probably a rotation issue, and I can probably rotate them back to where the hands are actually touching. And if you ever need to modify it again, you can just go to your right or left hand goals and maybe put them more in line with your actual gun or spear or whatever you're having your character hold in this same kind of setup. So I can just sort of, move these around and put them in place and then go back to the fun, free animation of just rotating the gun around and getting a lot of cool animation on Seth based on this. So we've got all of that working out. And now the next thing that I want to do is figure out how to have this proton gun actually have this hose leading to the proton pack. Now, one thing that isn't apparent from this, right now I've got Seth just standing here on the ground, but actually he's going to be sitting in a gunner seat. So we're going to pull in that to try to set all of that up too. So let's go merge project with my gunner seat prop. Excellent. Now we've got these several pieces down here. Let's scale these up a little bit until they sort of match the scale of the scene a little bit better. All right, let's slide that back. It looks like I'm missing a few assets. A quick way to go up here to my window, Project Asset Inspector, and you'll see which objects or which textures are missing. I'm going to select all of those and click on the relink thing right here. And I'm going to go to my parent directory where I have all of my Ghostbusters stuff and just say, select this folder, look through all of those, and it'll find these ones right here, which is great. And now you can see that that seat has its texture again, which is lovely. And Seth is going to be seated in this gunner seat, which is going to be on several of these things that pop out of the car. So to figure that out, let's go to the gunner seat. It's got this, this nice belt here to hold the character in place, but I kind of feel like these the straps from the proton pack sort of do that for it. And I think that the way that this works in the Afterlife movie, where they actually use the gunner seat, is the gunner seat is behind the character, and the proton pack is basically built into the chair, which is kind of cool, which is what you would want to do practically, you know? So I will attach this proton pack to the chair, like so, and then we've got to make Seth in this actual chair so we can do a little bit more rigging silliness with them. Let's move the proton gun and the hips up a bit, just more into place here, something like that. Also, I should probably move the Mixamo head goal to be up here. So now let's go ahead and try to make this pose a little bit better. All right, I'm going to select the whole rig here and also the head goal there and the proton gun position, and just sort of rotate all of these together a bit. That was kind of silly, but we're going to try to straighten out Seth a little bit more for this seat here, and then we'll reposition the legs, and we're going to try to play with the legs to make it so they kind of dangle off of this thing, because it's that crazy floating gunner seat situation. So let's open up all of the rig here. Let's snap everything closed except for the legs. Now we can try to position the legs sitting here in the gunner seat. Making a person look like they're sitting convincingly always is a little bit of a weird. Look how much fun he's having. Look at that. All right. Anyway, let's position these legs a little bit more. Now we've got the second joint, so he's gonna be sort of rolling down a little bit under, maybe like that. Goodness gracious. Okay, let's do that, and I do want these legs to be able to sort of dangle in a moment, so let's see if we can figure out something. This looks like a good overall pose for in the gunner seat. It looks like this is connected pretty nicely to the seat. Let's slide it over a little bit like that, and now let's figure out a way to position this hose so it's always connected to the proton gun over here. Right, so to get started, I'm just going to select my proton pack and proton gun right here like that, and press this solo, and press this viewport solo mode right here so I can just look at it like this. Then I'm going to use my pen tool right here, and I'm going to draw a little line that kind of comes out of that gun, then drapes down to around here, and then back up to the proton pack like that. And now we can rotate around and see that this this path doesn't really line up with anything yet. And I only made it a few points, so it's easy to just sort of grab these and sort of, move them relatively to the right place. Let's move that one there, make this one kind of over here, and move this over like that. And this last point is somewhere inside here. Let's move it out here to where it connects to the proton pack, which is, I think, right here, like 45 degrees down from the thing. There's not a very obvious part of geometry, but I'm pretty sure that it connects right here. And now that we've got this hose sort of worked out like that, what we're going to do is we're going to use the rope dynamics in Cinema 4D to connect this rope from the gun to the backpack, which is going to be kind of fun. So the way we'll do that is you can just grab your spline tag right here and tags and convert it to rope, just like that. And as soon as it's deselected, you can press play and you can watch the simulation happen right before your eyes. It falls right out of frame, just like that. But what we really wanted to do is to dangle from this end and to the proton pack. And the way we're going to do that is with another little tag right here under simulation called rope belts right here. So a rope belt is a tag that allows you to attach different points of this spline to some geometry somewhere. So I'm going to create some dummy cubes right here. They can be pretty small because they're supposed to represent the area of an attachment point like this. So let's move that there and stick it out of the proton pack somewhere around that or something. There we go. And then let's just control duplicate another one of these to be over here at the end of our proton gun handle right here. So let's shove it right in there. And now we have two bits of geometry that sort of represent the two connection points. So I'm going to rename this first one up here the connector gun, And we'll rename this other cube here the connector pack. And now that those two are in place, I'm going to shift select them both and press C to convert them to geometry, because I need geometry for these rope belts to work. So let's start by selecting this far end, this single point right here. We're in point mode. And I'm going to go to the spline and say simulation tags rope belt. And when that appears, I can drag an object down into the tag properties right here, specifically the connector pack object right here. And I can press set. And we can't really see it here, but a little yellow line will appear connecting those two. Maybe we'll be able to see it here better when we go ahead and add a second rope belt tag. In this rope belt tag, we're going to drag our connector gun object right here. And now I need to actually select this point of the spline here. So I'm going to select that one point here. And now I'll highlight the tag again. Now that it's set to connect to the connector gun cube, I will press set. And now, if everything has gone well, this rope is now connected, one end to that, one end to that. And if I back up here, kind of click out of everything and press play, you'll see that rope is dangling right between these 2 points, which is fantastic. So I'll press stop here, rewind a little bit, and now I'm going to select these 2 connectors and just hide them because I don't actually need to see them. I just want to see the rope connecting to here. But I actually want this to be stiffer, more like the ones in the movie. So I'm going to go to my rope tag here and click on the mix animation. And I want to say mix the animation with pins, which is, I think, just basically its own points here. And I'm going to set the influence down to maybe, let's try 50-ish or so. I've got to deselect everything and press play. So you can see that it's moving, but it's a little bit more rigid, sort of like the shape of the spline that I originally drew. So it's a little bit more like one of those, thicker wire coils. Now I'm going to move the gun connector down into my proton gun group here. So that way, as I move around this proton gun, you'll see that it stays connected there to the edge, which is great. So I can take the proton gun, and as I move it around, you can see that it's trying to connect and basically stay connected like this. It's a little bit too rigid right now, so let's go over to the rope tag and turn the influence down to maybe 20, or you can actually kind of live do this. Let's try 30%. 30% kind of allows it to be stretchy, but not, but it's still kind of maintaining a bit of its heavy drape right here. So hopefully this is a good amount for once we get back to animation. Let's undo to wherever I had the gun originally positioned. Something like that. Now I can check out of the solo mode and I can kind of go back to here, and you can see I've got the nice cable draping down like that. One additional thing I can do with this cloth is I can have it actually collide with the chair and with Seth here. So to do that, I can go to my actual pilot chair object right here, and I'm going to add simulation tag, and I'm going to call this a collider object. And I could do the same thing for Seth's body, wherever that is. I think it's submesh 49. Seems to be the majority of the body here. So we'll go to that and we'll say simulation tags and add a collider. So now if I press play, you'll see that the little hose pops over to the side there, so it's not intersecting with the chair, which is pretty cool. But now we actually want this hose to be a real hose that we can see. So for that, we've got our spline here. We're going to need to sweep something along it. So let's go and create a new shape. Let's create an N side with a much smaller radius, just something like that. And then let's say 8-sided. I use n-side instead of circle just because a little bit easier, a little less geometry for it to handle. So then we'll go over to sweep object, add one of those, put our n-side inside it, and then we'll put the spline just after that. And now you see we've got a nice hose being rendered right here, which is pretty cool. One kind of cool thing is if I look at the n-side's radius right here, 6 centimeters, I can go to the rope tag right here, and if I go to the tag itself, I can say, what is the radius of this rope? And I can actually say it's 6 centimeters. I happen to know that. And now if I press play, you'll see that right now it's intersecting with the chair, but if I press play on this, you'll see it pops over, and now it knows that it should be hitting the side of that, which is really cool. And just so it's not doing that pop right at the beginning, I'm just going to go to my spline object, grab this center point, and just move it out as the start shape. So it's kind of in a nice production designed hangy shape right there. And let's see, it's a similar radius to this original hose. Now we want this texture to appear on this hose. And I don't really know the best way to do that, because I know that if I go over here to the proton pack hole texture and drag it onto my sweep, you'll see that I get all of this business. Now, normally what you could do, if this was just a static pose, is you could use, you could convert this to geometry and then mess with the UV. But I believe that what's happening right now is if I go to UV edit, it's kind of doing this automatic UVing from the sweep object, which isn't a fixed thing. And within here, you can't actually modify this geometry while it remains an unedited object. And I don't know if there's something better that I could do to make that work, but in the meantime, the best thing I know how to do is to jump over to Photoshop, grab this proton pack texture, and I'm just going to literally grab the section that's the hose there and copy it to a new document, and we'll paste it there. And in fact, I feel like this canvas size should be twice as tall, so let's try times 2. And let's paste our layer, snap one up there, snap another one down here, and let's merge all this down and save this as a little JPEG or something. Doesn't really matter. It's a low-res thing. Hose. Save that. Okay. Jump back into here, and we'll create a new material that is just that hose texture. Let's load up those image we just saved. Don't need a copy of it, but let's drag it onto the sweep object now in place of that. And now we have something a little bit better, which is pretty cool. And back in Photoshop, I'm going to actually triple this thing up. Image, let's do canvas size, let's make it a little bit bigger, so let's make the height 12, and we'll move it down like that, and we'll paste that thing, which is still copied in here. Do that, and then we'll save this hose.jpg. The next thing I'm going to do is use this cool online tool called Normal Map Online, GitHub cPetri right here. So I'm just going to click here. I'm going to load in that hose texture, and it'll automatically create a little normal map out of it, which is kind of cool. So I can download this normal map right here, and we'll just save it as the hose normal map. Then back in Cinema, I can go over to here. Let's make sure that this texture for the hose gets reloaded so the scale looks a little bit better like that. And then to the normal map right here, we'll say, let's load in the normal map. And now we've got a cool little like corrugated hose thing. As you'll recall, what we've got going on here, if I press play, is we've got this dynamic rope here, and I have the proton gun right here, which is rotatable sort of from an off-axis point. So as I move it around, Seth moves around in his seat, and you can see that the hose reacts and stays connected between the two as Seth is aiming at ghosts and scary things or something like that. So, pretty cool. Okay, so last but not least, I have kind of a silly idea for how to add one more little bit of dynamicness to this Seth here. So let's delete that old hose. Let's save and maybe increment up on this version. I'm going to press stop. And then I'm going to focus just on this chair for a second. I would love this chair to be able to be in the car and then slide out and then kind of end up out here. And so Seth can kind of wobble around as that happens. But to have him wobble, we're going to need to add a couple of different control things to this whole situation. So this chair is going to be pretty central to everything. So let's move it up here to the top and let's just call it chair. And then we're going to move a bunch of these pieces kind of to be parented to this chair object. So we're going to put the connector for the pack and the proton pack itself. They'll be connected to the chair. The proton gun will also be nestled within the chair. The sweep, I don't think it needs to be nestled within the chair. I think it'll just follow the pieces here. I don't know if it would be harmed if it was in there, but we'll try without. Okay, we've got the suit here, Seth's suit, which I think is actually the thing that was supposed to be a collider object. So maybe we'll add a collider object to that so it doesn't collide with him later. What have we got? We've got a submesh. Oh, for the accessories and a submesh for the suit. Great. So we've got a collider on both of those so that hose will stay free and clear. But I think that all of Seth's head and body and Mixamo hips all have to become children of the chair, as it were. I think, anyway. Let me press play and make sure nothing goes totally horribly. Great. So now if I grab this chair and I move it back and forth, Seth stays in the chair. Now, one of the issues right here is the stiffness of this rope getting mixed with its own pins. Oh, I guess maybe that's exactly where the sweep should be parented to the chair thing comes in. So does that help? If I grab the chair now and I slide it back and forth, great. And then I'm going to try this very bizarre idea. I'm going to open up Seth's rig here, and I'm going to add some IK to the neck and head top right here. So we'll go rigging IK like that, and then let's move the head top end to here. And now let's add a goal, which, as you recall, creates the little goal object right here. I'm going to move that up and outside of the chair for a moment and bring it up here. So sort of the head is going to be generally, aiming toward this point up here in the sky, which is kind of cool. And then I'm going to do the same but reverse kind of thing with the feet, where I'm going to open up Seth's rig here. Let's add an IK tag here, rigging tags IK, and then we're going to go and drag the right toe end to be the end point here, and then we'll add a goal, which is this new toe object that's created. Same thing for the left leg. Let's go rigging tags, IK, drag the left toe end to there, and then we'll add another goal object. And now that we have the toe goal, these two toe goals, and the head end goal up here, my thought is that if I were to kind of shift select all three of these things, if they rock back and forth, it's sort of like the bits of Seth that would be trailing behind if he gets yanked left or right. And the rest of his torso is sort of, anchored to the chair. Okay, so let's set this up so we have a little bit of a dynamic relationship between the chair and those extremities. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to create a new null right here that can be the container for all of these three little extremity goals. But first, I'm going to quickly look at the chair and its position here. I'm going to shift select the whole position itself, copy that, and go to my null and paste that information to this null as well, so it's in the exact same position as the chair. And now I'm happy to put all of these three goals inside of this null, and this null is set to, move the rest of the body around. But I want it to follow the chair's position, but not exactly. So to accomplish that, we're going to go up to this null object, and we're going to say rigging tags constraint. And instead of constraint where it's supposed to copy the position 1-to-1, I'm going to check spring right here. And when I check spring, you'll see that it has added some springy properties, the strength, drag, and a little section for the target down here. I think that the chair is oriented in a weird way. So I'm actually going to go to my constraint tag and only have position checked, ignoring rotation. And then I'm going to drag the chair object to fill the target right here. I'm going to leave length at 0 because the whole goal is that it's going exactly to the same place that the chair was a moment ago. So now let's just grab the position of the chair here and see if we press play, what happens if I move it. And look at that. Oh, it's perfect. It's I love this. Oh my gosh, I'm having too much fun. Everybody stop me. So obviously we've just got this null, which is containing the head direction and the 2 feet directions. And it's got this constraint tag set to spring. And as I move the chair around, you can see the little dot for the null right there is slowly trying to catch up with a bit of a springy relationship with the position. So now I've got all of this awesome animation that happens just from me swinging the chair around, which is great. And then to make this even more keyframe-less, let's go into Seth's rig right here, which I think is nestled inside the chair. And we'll go down to the proton gun object here. And I'm going to pause, I guess, for a second and go back to the first frame. Here on the proton gun, I'm going to go to animation tags, vibrate, and let's enable the position of that gun to just float around a little bit, like by about 25 centimeters at a speed of maybe 1. And let's enable some rotation at a frequency of, let's try like half. And rotation-wise, I want it to rotate, let's try 25 degrees for Y and Z. And now, if I press play, it takes a second for the little IK to snap the hands to it. Maybe I'll rotate this gun a little bit more down and forward. And now I've got this vibrate tag adding almost an idle breathing / aiming animation to Seth, which is great. And on top of that, if I collapse all this, I can grab the chair, grab the position, and move it around. And now I've got this great dynamic Seth that's kind of breathing, moving around and aiming and looking up at stuff. And it's all dynamic and coming from all of these different little relationships and constraints, all taking advantage of this Mixamo rig. So check that out. Look how much crazy life you can get out of a little rigged puppet that you're literally only actively controlling, I guess, 2 things in this case, the vibrate tag on the gun and the position of the chair. But Seth just otherwise stays lifelike and doing his own thing, which is really great. Pretty cool, huh?
It comes back, we all have beards and gray hair.
It really truly is too much information for a VFX and chill almost. That's a a lot of information. A lot of comments on this Seth expression, which it is quite a lovely Seth head here, as we like to call it.
Hey guys, it's me.
It's me. I think that I have that when we were building our season 4 avatars, you were called Jacket Man.
That is what they've called me.
So this is your default face, but it does come with a little smile.
Oh, nice.
And a worried expression. I kind of like worried, Seth. This
Worried
is
is
like
that looks like
slowly
That's more
getting more
resting
worried.
Seth face.
And then wow is the yokalization of
Actually, if you can
Seth.
look a little bit like this, like top lip up, and then bring the chin in like this. That's actually weirdly, according to photographs, my resting face. Is this just like my body?
Oh, so
is
it's
like,
probably the opposite of smile. It's probably negative smile.
yeah. It's like
Right around here somewhere.
Oh, hey, some of that weighting is a little off.
There we go.
Yeah,
that's
it
it.
is.
That's resting Seth.
There we
face.
go. Resting Seth face.
Oh, I'm just remixing the content. That's sorry. I'm scratching over here. Ripping.
Amazing. But yeah, so we went with this happy Seth face, which is kind of funny. I didn't realize that I clearly had the wrong texture on here. This is the whole proton
chips.
pack. So
It should be
so little Easter egg if you look real close in our intro. If you look really close right here. But yeah, all of that basically just to make it easier for this animation to be successful, which is pretty cool.
Really cool.
So Seth, I love the way you put this together. I rendered out layers for Seth, and he put it into this environment and
Well, if I had more time, I was
glows
gonna.
and things and
If I had more time, I was gonna explore. When you made a slap comp that looked. It had the shake on the background, but it did not have the shake on the car layer, and it looked like an optically composited. I don't know if that was in your slap comp or not, but it looked like like the beginnings of an optical composite from like 1985.
it totally did.
And it made me
I
want
think I had-
It made me want to comp it that way, but I ran out of time and wasn't able to.
Ran out of time and did it correctly
Yeah.
instead of wrong.
So yeah, here's our preview version where Seth and I are working in separate comps. I'm working with the car and Seth is working with the background. They have an artificial shake on top of any of the regular camera movement. And so when it went to this view, your camera shake is on the background. And so it totally felt like those optically composited shots, especially right here. Right here looks a lot like
Yeah.
Back to the Future clock tower-y shot.
That's exactly
where
what it looks like right there.
like model is dangling and the got the proton stream here, which I think someone in the chat was asking.
Then you had to go and make it correct. Yes, someone in the chat is asking how to make the proton
We will
stream.
not be answering that question. We've done it. I've done it twice. There's 2 different tutorials that I've done it on. We also
One of the
we
links
have
is
Chris
in the
Schmidt
chat.
on the was on the show and showed how he made it in Cinema. We'll end up using the whole episode to talk about proton streams. We've done that already, so check those out. They're very, very cool, especially Chris's episode.
They're very cool. I mean, to answer the question, you really just
Damn it.
did
No,
a little
don't
spline
answer
like
it.
that, and then
Hashi?
went what?
Nope.
You do it simulation tag
Sorry, we
rope,
have
and then
we
you.
have technical difficulties right now. I don't know why we can't hear Hashi. That's weird. Anyway, so the idea today is we're gonna do. I'm gonna turn
links
it back
in the
up.
chat to both
Links in the
Zed's
chat, look at
Proton
that.
Beam tutorial and to the Chris Schmidt episode of VFX and Chill called I Ain't Afraid of No Rocket Lasso, where Chris Schmidt of Rocket Lasso comes on and it shows a couple different ways of doing proton beams using Cinema 4D and for dynamics. So Seth is using trap code particular in a really clever way with flocking to make the proton beam. I love the tutorial. It's very funny and a really cool technique. So highly recommend it. And of course, Chris Schmidt is always amazing. Luke and Dad Productions would love for you to address your modeling.
Modeling career.
Well, I mean,
model
yeah, I
career.
mean, my friend Duncan Adamson does all of the physics sims for the Modern Warfare series, and so yeah, obviously I do a lot of photographic modeling for their characters. If they need a yoked out soldier type,
You're the one
That's
they
me.
call. I always think of
I'm the
you
one they call.
when I'm thinking of yoked out soldier types, and it's a lot. You wouldn't think I'd think about it that often, but I do.
I forgot that I had
There I
this
am.
open in the background. This really, I need this saved on my phone in case you ever message me.
With
That's
like,
just Seth's contact info. In case
music
Seth
code.
ever messages you, like it doesn't happen 20,000 times a day. No, Luke and Dad Productions is saying that you are on the poster for Modern Warfare 3. They say it looks just like you.
oh, really? I'm gonna look it up. Let's see. Look it up, Whirly.
Okay,
But I will say Ghostbusters is a pretty popular thing for us to do on this show. We've had a few different episodes on it. I already mentioned the one with Chris Schmidt doing it. But we also had the episode where the Sky ended up having a rear end in it, as I recall.
Oh, Skyboat Hole? We love Skyboat Hole.
Yes.
Wait, are they
And-
talking about? Hang on a second. Is it
Are we seriously getting sidetracked?
that looks
that
more
does
like
kind of look
Tommy
like
Lee
Hashi.
Jones?
Yeah, and if he met Hashi and fell in love, and they got
Aw.
married. and
Congratulations,
opened a bed and breakfast
Hashi and
in
Tommy Lee
Vermont.
Jones. Or maybe you're talking about that.
That does look a lot like me. It's got
That's Modern Warfare
the same
2.
eyebrows.
Yeah. Oh, that's Modern Warfare 2. Sorry. I guess they're talking about this.
I'm
Like-
sorry. I mean, I don't know anything about video games.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you.
Sorry to keep continuity of the last week's episode.
to keep in canon with the VFX and chill. Yeah.
we also I do want to point out Red Giant did also do a film team experiment called Busted that had some really cool Ghostbusters-y
Oh, I forgot.
effects in it, and there was a cool behind the scenes. So if you wanted to see the behind the scenes for that link, that short and a link are also in the chat for you to see after this episode is finished. And
BTS is funny.
The BTS is one of my favorite things that you've ever made.
it's so
Well,
good.
that credit goes to Arn. The reason you like it so much, that credit goes to Arn Rabinowitz. He was overseeing the behind the scenes shoot at the time, and he and at the time CEO of Red Giant, now I don't remember what his title is at Maxon now, but Chad Becker was. They were on set for that, and I just got back after the shoot, sat down, looked through the footage, and saw that they had shot a whole like narrative like thread to put through the behind the scenes. I don't want to spoil it or say what it is. You should go watch it. It's very funny.
It's really good.
Yeah, links in the chat, so you can go watch it after this. But watch the short first, which is the link that is in the chat earlier, and then watch the behind the scenes. But also, I would say, working on that, didn't that inspire a universe effect? Your work on the Busted titles?
That inspired
Yes.
the effect that is Easter egged on our on our license plate in the intro right there.
Yes, Ecto was born from the titles from Busted, which I think we talked about. We've covered plenty on the show. It's just
Way to turn cool shapes into cool electricity looking shapes.
woo.
Yeah, I mean, I've often heard people talking about how they want Video Copilot Saber, but on a footage layer, and you can't unless you auto trace it because it needs masks. And Ecto just works. There's a link for that in the chat as well. It just have an alpha layer, and you get this cool glow with distortion and blurriness to it that gives you that really cool look. You can use it for stuff like Ghostbusters titles, but you can also use it more subtly as well if you just want to have a glow that's got a little bit more texture to it, like a little more atmosphere around it. You can crank it crazy like that.
Yeah,
Or
check
you
this
can
out.
make
Like
it more subtle.
right onto the on the footage layer.
Yeah.
You got to find
As long as there's alpha,
Oh yeah, look at these. No, you can check unmult.
That's true.
Right within it. So
you can make there be alpha.
yeah,
Let
look
there
at this.
be
Look at this.
alpha. That was like
Boom.
that was God staying up really late the first night, actually.
Literally the first night. It was the first night and first day,
Boom.
depending on translation of scripture.
Wow.
Wow, you're
It doesn't
that's
like it when cinema is open.
choppy.
We've taught so much already, really.
We really have.
So So one of the effects that was that we saw in the trailer there, and I can't remember. Can we go into the clips from that?
We can go into the clips. Let me go to the clips. Hold on, I'm gonna
To the clips.
yeah. So
I have one in there that was called like VFX clips.
oh, okay, cool. Then I'll
You can scrub through it like that too.
VFX clips. Woo! Hey. Whoa. Hang on
One
a
day AI will allow us to have a drop for every single
Oh my gosh.
Thing we say.
element
AI
that
will
we
actually get
speak
too
about
powerful.
on screen.
It will get too powerful and it will suddenly start creating drops for us live on the show to a point that we all become very uncomfortable with how it's making fun of us.
Like there'll be sometimes like a little bit like prescient and personal, like more than
Seth's failures. Woo.
Woo.
Seth's failure to live up to his potential. All right, what are we looking at?
All right, so we have some kind of unique little weather effects. That effect I haven't quite seen before. It's basically just big shards of ice shooting up out of the floor. That's
That's
kind
what
of
I
cool.
wanted to do. You know what? I'm looking at it right now, and it's not as So, oh my God, Michael, Hashi, I've been doing it wrong.
Yes.
I've been
Oh.
obsessing that the whole 35 minutes you guys are watching, Hashi. I've been sitting here obsessing about how to make the icicles grow instead of just do a transform
Translating.
position. And guys, they're not growing here. Watch the textures; they're just shooting out of the ground.
Yes.
So the simplest
Wow.
solution is often the best.
It's called Occam's Ice Blades.
All right, I'm going to do some ice blades. Thank you, Occam. Nothing can ice blade as well as you can. I looked and thought there might be a drop, but there's not. Except that.
There is a.
That works. That works.
Hey,
It's close.
Seth,
Yeah.
can you pause a drop when it's up? Because I think there's a typo in that one.
Oh no, there's not.
Yes, there is.
No, that's how it's spelled.
Flurries.
That's how it's always been spelled.
Yeah. Have you never heard Schwarzenegger say freeze in Batman and Robin,
No.
the great cinematic achievement of our time? So
Yes.
it's kind of in all of my early tutorials. I used to say freeze whenever I would hit
gotcha.
freeze on
I
Rotobrush,
gotcha.
and then Aaron at that time was scared of copyrights and wouldn't let me use the cut to what I believe to be the greatest video to ever exist on YouTube. That I can't find the one that I love anymore. They took it down, but it was a super
For copyright reasons.
of every time. Probably so. Aaron was right. Every time Schwarzenegger says any cold puns in Batman and Robin, and so it's just like cold freeze, ice, winter freeze, ice, and it's demented and absolutely incredible. Anyway, that's why Webster's Dictionary defines it as freeze.
Gotcha. Now, I was going to say, to make these ice blades pop up, that's really just a cloner with a plane effector on the position, making it just shoot up out of the ground, really,
Yeah,
if you don't
that's
need to
exactly what it is.
dynamically direct it.
So
Or
I can do that. There's
you could,
also I can
place
do
it.
a 2D version of this also on footage pretty easily. I may not even need to go 3D.
Yeah, like I can imagine if I were doing the Cheap Tricks version of this, it's literally just a little like fractal noise ice pattern triangle that shoots up
Yep.
with a dirt impact from Video Copilot slapped on top of it.
Yeah, or Production
Shooting up.
Create or Action VFX, any of our friends.
Yeah, that would be my.
That looks actually I think some of those are action VFX elements.
Yeah.
Like some
Get
one,
it,
that
Action
I do
one
like
there
when
VFX
people
looks
find,
real familiar.
Like I think Captain Disillusion will sometimes point out the exact stock explosion used in like
That's
a
a
viral
very
video
Captain
of, like-
Disillusion thing.
it's fantastic. It's like I think that it's actually like this Dirt Impact 6 from this collection, and we'll like play them side by side, frame by frame.
God bless him.
Fantastic
Be
work.
sure to check out the
Fantastic
episode where we
work.
had his intern on the show, Alan.
Absolutely.
So this is your jam, dude.
Oh yeah.
You know how to do this and do it well.
Oh yes. Look at that. Just a nice growing rough and edges on a feathered mat.
Oh, you know what I might do is show on the show my trick for snow, because I'm looking at there's a lot of these shots where there's like snowy, blizzardy stuff. Yes, particular, but I have a little secret I tend to use for really good snow that I can try.
Ooh, I like it.
Look at that
okay,
shot.
so
That's the most
so what do you
Hashi
think you
shot
want to
I've ever
try?
seen.
This shot is beautiful. This is sort of the hero of these freezing shots. It's got both the surface freeze effect,
Look at that van.
really nicely happening,
Look at that
and
SUV
the
right
little
there.
shard crystals.
Look
You
at
know
that
what they
car
remind me
just
of
tipped
is-
up. Boop, 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 boop. So good.
Ooh, look at that. Nice detail. It's like if anyone remembers the original Star Tours, where they fly into an ice comet.
Oh yeah.
And
it goes
they fly through this
right
amazing
there.
cave that looks like omnidirectional icicles. It's a really cool section. And they have the cool sound design.
The little glass chip on the back of look at the back of the windshield on this car right here. How
Ooh,
the
nice.
glass comes chipping off. Makes me happy.
Those are all the fun things you get to do if you get to sit with your composite and just sweeten them with a million different things that people may never see, but we just did.
Yep.
So good on you.
And you got white lightning.
Ooh, lightning in the background. They probably used Seth's not Dementor. What the heck is it called? My brain is
I don't know. What did I do?
your Stranger Things Sky Monster.
Oh,
what the heck is it
Stranger
called?
Things, Sky Monster, Dementor.
Things Sky
Stranger
Monster.
Things.
Stranger Things.
Oh, Mind Flays.
This one is
Mind
kind of
Flayer.
a cool effect where they show the ground really.
Yes, and if you
breaking
two
up
want to
from this
see Seth's Mind Flayer tutorial,
Mind Flayer.
Yeah,
It is also
you two
in
want to
this.
see it. Bono, Edge, Larry, other guy, you want to see it. Check it out. Adam. That's what it is.
Adam is the other one.
Yeah.
well, the link for it is in the chat.
This is fun. You know what's great is these are still, these are unfinished. And they look so freaking good.
They look great. I mean, that's the fun thing about these Ghostbusters movies is they get to have, if you think of the random segments in them where eggs burst and boil on the counter, or you have ice spikes attack people from the ground. You get to come up with these really bizarre, quote, paranormal things happening that are just fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a pretty cool
is
shot
cool.
there.
I
See, that
love
looks
that.
like a
That's
Cheap
such a
Tricks,
cool shot.
episode.
That does look like a Cheap Tricks episode. That's Marta.
It does.
That's Marta Svatek right there.
That is 100% what that looks like.
And this is my favorite part of the whole friggin' thing. It's just such a good button for the trailer. Friggin' Paul Rudd.
It really is. I like people having as much fun at the movie as you're supposed to be having.
That's something BJ Novak talked about in this is not VFX related, so welcome. On one of the commentaries for the episode, one of the episodes of The Office, BJ Novak is talking about how it's not as often exploited as it should be, is the comedy of people being happy and people having fun. And you see tons of it in Parks and Recreation. There's a whole episode where characters just get what they want, or they're all doing their bachelor parties that they didn't get. And it's just everybody having their dreams come true. And it's one of the funniest episodes of television in history.
I love that.
Yeah. So you're right. It's so good. Paul Rudd just reacts to the trailer for us.
And I love that there's sort of a handful of actors that you can pull for that.
Oh yeah.
I would imagine it's a hard thing to pull off. Having your charismatic and fun character be one that people will watch and think they're having fun too.
Yeah. 100%.
It's a hard recipe.
If Michael Fassbender does this, we're all uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
If he's there going, oh.
We're like, oh God, we're going to die. So, what are you going to do, Hash? The easy thing I might start with is just quickly is showing at some point my particular snow approach. What about you? What are you going to do?
I'm looking at a couple of stock footage elements that we downloaded just before the show. There's this one, which is funny because it kind of combines the two things that I was showing at the beginning of the show. There's this video of this guy running through the streets in this parka, and it feels like it could be fun to try to turn it into a
100%. You need to see these spikes coming out. He's unaware of the spikes coming out around him and winter coming down that street.
And then somewhere, if there were a good freeze frame that he like leapt, it would be great to just erase him from the rest of the plate, but just have him impaled and fall off screen as the camera continued to.
Or pushed up out of screen.
Oh, there you go. So I have something like that. I've also got this kind of tilt up New York looking thing, which is either could work for a cool like sky lighting reveal and the walls sort of freezing, or I think lastly was just this kind of boring but enough information that you can get a nice little 3D track to show the ground freezing and some other stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do in here. And again, people in the chat are always welcome to yell things at their computer in case
And
we
will
do
hear
them.
it. You just have to do it very loud enough for a neighbor.
Very,
to
very
hear.
loud.
Yeah.
So, or you could type them in the chat. That would be the second way that we could get that information.
Sure.
And speaking of which, if you're here in the chat or on our page, why not give this video a like? Show people that this is likable and that we're likable.
We're likable, and you like
Dadgummit.
us. And you want us in your life to stick around.
Excellent. So I don't know where I want to start. The other thing that I thought about doing was seeing what would happen if I fed like one of these frames to Photoshop and either tried the style transfer or the diffusion script to see what this looks like as a frozen city.
Oh, yeah,
what
you
it
could.
would,
Well,
it would
you've
do.
done
And
that.
then
You've done that on a thing on a show
I have
before.
done that. I did it on like a weather effects episode or something.
Something like that.
Like November 2021-ish.
I remember that was an episode where I tuned out trying to do something and never. And woke
I think
up.
it was like the week after we'd had Captain Disillusion's intern, and so it was just like, I don't know. We'll do something.
I am trying to find
All
a
right.
plate. I forgot to look for a plate for
Oh yeah,
my thing.
plate hunting is always difficult.
it's
You
gonna
can
be the whole
try,
episode.
Crate and Barrel.
Crate and Barrel has some great stock footage.
Great stock footage. It's like really beautiful looking, very rustic, but just incredibly expensive. Okay, Professionally Incorrect is asking when are we getting Stay Puft Marshmallow Raptor? It's a good question.
That's a good question.
I do do have over here loaded up in Cinema just in case we end up in Stay Puft Marshmallow Land. This awesome little model of a Stay Puft. I think this is one of the mini puffs from Afterlife. It walks around, but it's pretty similar design. So it's just missing that little sailor collar thing, which Seth and I learned about yesterday. Those little I can't remember what they're called already, but that little
I have
backwards
taken
bib.
this out of my brain because I did not like it.
Well, I'm going to remind you again right now. So sailors and like Donald Duck wear that little bib that's sort of backwards, this collar around their shoulders. And let's see, do I have an image of Stay Puft? What does he look like? I don't know. You all know what he looks like. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That little weird bib thing. What that's for is it's because sailors would have long hair that would blow around in the wind and get in their face. So they would go grab a handful of axle grease and slick their hair back with it. But that was getting their dress-wise all gross. And so instead they have this detachable bib that catches the tar that they put in their hair.
No, thank you.
Feel free to look it up. Look
Good.
it up what that thing is.
I do not want to look that up.
Yeah. That
And now you know.
information doesn't
Now you all
serve me.
have to know.
I cannot find.
So yeah, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to.
I would
Bring
be
the
happy
Stay
to talk
Puft.
about making some frost. If you wanted to talk about that,
Ooh, how would you make some frost, Michael?
I could share my screen but while you get kind of set there, I could share my screen and talk about one way you could make some like growing frost effects.
Do it. Grow the
Do
frost.
it.
Do
All right, let me
it.
hop into After Effects here. So I've got some kind of frost growing on the screen
What?
here. Kind
Hey.
of kind of fun.
Good looking frost.
Thank you. Now, if I really want to do it right, I would have some more branches coming off here doing the same kind of thing. But this is just to show kind of the basic technique. So what's happening is I've got, it is all just with 2 layers. I've got Tropico Particular on one layer, and it's got, if you'll see here, 4 systems. The primary system here is just shooting off a couple of particles in explode mode. Here, just like 10 particles that shoot off. Explode. And it is the parent system for these other 2. So the main trail is a particle system that's set to create a line from parent, stroke from parent, I mean. And the stroke from parent effect is, setting is one of my favorite new things that's been added particular. It just gives you a solid line as a trail behind the particle all the time without having to worry about numbers of particles and all that kind of crappy mess. And then it's shooting off these little feather causers, which are little particles that just shoot off with a little bit of motion from the parent particle to kind of get them moving forward. And then system 4 is also using stroke from parent, but on this layer. So this one, primary system, is the parent for main trail and feather causers, both spitting off of it, but one is just a trail behind it, one's spitting off, and then system 4 is little trails behind it. And so I've just set them to kind of be like somewhat transparent-y looking. If we zoom in a bit here, you can kind of maybe see better. And then behind that, I've got this other layer here set to using the calculations effect, which that lets you add or subtract, or in this case just copy, or actually any of these blend modes, information from one layer onto the main layer. So in this case, I'm saying, hey, this layer here, take the particular layer with its effects and masks, and just copy it onto this layer. So whatever effects are happening on this particular layer is also going to happen on this calculations layer. But so it's like duplicating the particular layer without actually duplicating it. So I can just fuss around in particular and it'll just automatically reflect on this layer because it's just copying the output. So basically, I've just duplicated my particular, blurred it, choked them out a little bit, blurred it again, and then used the rough and edges effect in spiky mode. And that gives me this kind of little
spiky mode.
Yeah, it just kind of gives us little extra detail on the ends here of the frost.
Michael, you son of a bitch.
So all that kind of just grows on, gives this kind of cool growing frosty look. Now, of course, you could do a bunch of different things on top of this, like adding some beveling to kind of make it feel like it's got some more depth to it, and you could use this to drive like a blur of something behind it. So if you had this on top of something, like in Supercomp, for example, you could use this like semi-transparent bit here to blur behind, and you make this really look like it's like inside the scene, like on a window growing in. I think it's pretty clever. But now that I've said all of that, let me show you another interesting way to make frost that I just thought of while I was talking. So if I make this, let's make a new comp, and let's put in a white solid so you can just more see what we're doing. I just thought of this. There is a cool effect called film burn, CC film burn in After Effects.
CC film burn.
It's a transition, and what it does is this. It just kind of grows a bunch of circles on the screen. But if I turn transparency on, you'll see, hey, it's just giving us a cool kind of fractal transparency that grows. Now it's adding black, so it's like a film burn.
Did you
so
know
it's
that
like
existed?
burning.
I did not know that existed.
burning
I've never
through.
seen that.
Me either.
CC film burn.
Yeah. So it's just a kind of a cool, kind of not really fractally way to do things. Now, I wouldn't need it for the blackness that it causes right before the film completely burns through to see what's behind it. But you could then use rough and edges on top of it. But this is, the frost growing away. Let's put it in spiky mode here real quick. Oops, spiky mode. Put the scale down, turn the border up. That's going to be giving you some frosty looks, but you would really want this to be the other way around. So what I would do is say, hey, we're CC burn film, fine, but we want to invert the alpha. So then we're just getting it then growing on, and then we would use rough and edges on top of that, and then of course you would just use a fill effect to put in, whatever your frosty color is, probably maybe like a very gray, whatever color. So then it also gives you kind of a neat little growing on frost effect. It's a little bit less, you can kind of say where the center of it starts from, kind of, but not really. So the particular is a lot more controllable. But if you just need some quick growing on stuff, this is a way to do it. Make the border as big as you want. Fuss with all these other rough and edges settings, and it just gets you kind of a rough base of something happening. It's just an idea, one of many, to make frost.
I love using rough and edges, and I usually would animate a little mask, so I love the idea of that film burn effect. That's really cool.
Michael, that was educational as hell.
Look at all so much VFX
educational episode
today.
All right.
What are you up to now, Seth?
I am working on some snow. I've got I've got this background, this stock background. And hang on a second. My wife is trying to get my attention.
Absolutely. I can.
No, never mind. She said she's not. So, I've got a particular layer.
Hey, Seth. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Love you. I have gone in here to presets, and under nature, I've used Blizzard, and I'll just do
Blizzard. That's a very good tip.
Thank you. That's it. That's all you do. No. So first thing is I'm going to turn down the particles per second. I might just take a 0 off of this presets amount. And I'm going to see how this looks just right out the gate. But really, honestly, so you want a blizzard. You want to have, obviously, you want all the snow that you're expecting to have. Let's turn on motion blur, because that also will help. Let's go ahead and real quick turn off the background plate, because it's going to be hard to see the snow until we do some compositing.
Like if you can see the snow that you're compositing over a live stream, it's too big.
It's true. Oh my God. So maybe I'll turn it up just for the sake of the live stream. If I turn this up to 1, can you guys start to see maybe some of the snow?
Yeah, I can. I think I can see them. Yeah, I see them.
Either that or it's dust in the room.
It's probably dust in the room. So I'll put it up to 2 just to make it visible. All right. So let's also see how it looks in quarter resolution, because I want this to move a little faster for me. So one thing is with the blizzard, this snow is still moving too smoothly for me. So what I like to do is go into I believe it's going to be in displace. Yes, spin amplitude. I'm going to turn up to 100. And
100.
I just want to see. Why don't we go instead and go to particle? I want to make it. I never actually use this. I'm going to turn the particle amount down to like 25%. Will that make it go faster? Theoretically, it should.
Arguably, yeah.
If I turn the motion blur on, and do this, my computer is trying to do the stream and this at the same time. I might even go back in and turn up the speed amplitude even higher, or the frequency up maybe to like 2. But I think I'm actually going to go a little higher with the spin amplitude. I basically want this snow to be flying all over the place without any clear direction. It's like there's a little bit of like a feeling of a wind direction, but the snow is just like crazy all over the place. And you can do that with a turbulence field, but you can also do it by turning up these spin effects over here.
Yeah, the spin effects give them more unique personality. Like each flake is catching its own little thing. But then you can give overall shape to sort of general wind drifts and sections with a turbulence setting.
So here's the big trick for me in making like snow, especially large amounts of snow, look good. I'm going to duplicate my particular layer. I'm going to name the top one flakes and the bottom one haze.
Tibbs.
I had to have done this on the show, but in case I haven't, I'm going to do.
Hey, Seth. Do you have anything in the background you could close? People are saying that things are super laggy at the Mo.
I can try.
And they say they can hear the audio, but no video.
There's no visual video?
Well, there is. It's just the same frame.
It sounds like it's time for motion test. Oh, there's not. Never mind. Let's see if I free up some of this memory all over the place.
Oh yeah, apparently we're having some exciting lag. It's the ghosts, everybody.
It's the ghosts. Well, here I'll say it and I'll stop. I'll say
That's
it. And I won't
famous
play it.
catchphrase from Ghostbusters.
Yes.
What's going on? Oh no, and it's the ghosts.
The the tagline on the poster. It's the ghosts. I'm gonna cut these particles down to like 500, maybe even less than that. I might go to like 50. And then the particle size, hopefully everyone can see what I'm doing. I'm going to change the particle type to cloudlet and turn cloudlet feather up to 100. Size, let's go to 10. We're probably going to go even bigger than that. Yes, we are. Let's go like 700. Maybe.
Whoa.
Too big. 300. Let's set opacity to 5. Now we're getting somewhere. Maybe opacity to 1.
Ooh, look at that.
Opacity back up to maybe 2. So what I'm doing here, if you can't figure this out, is I'm making a very small amount of particles here that are cloudlets and with a very, very huge size, 100% feather, very low opacity, and opacity over life. You want these to, if I remember correctly, let's actually do presets here. I believe we can do this offset peak probably is the one I want. No. Maybe it is. I can't remember. I feel like I know that I've had good luck with sizing it up and opacity down, but I can't remember if I like that anymore. Let's just say offset peak. We'll go with that for the opacity.
Offset peak is a good one. Offset slope is probably my most used preset.
Offset slope. Oh yeah. Why didn't I see that one? Offset slope. I don't have.
Which is just, I was just mentioning my favorite preset. It's not useful for what you're doing. Oh hey, the stream changed for a second. We got something different on the screen for a split second.
Is it still frozen?
Yeah, it's
showing.
It's like since we were doing the
frozen as Elsa.
System.
Weird.
But our voices are here, and we can.
It's a podcast.
I closed.
You can
Cinema.
describe.
Cinema's closed. I'll close Slack too.
Similar to what you have now.
I closed it. What about now? Can we see?
No, yeah.
Let's see. It's trying to catch up. It caught up to the look. Your cool like fractally.
It just jumped to you having the presets of the curves up.
Wow.
Wow, it's like looking backward through time, which is all we can actually technically do, right?
It's true. Well.
Oh, it just jumped again.
It's moving slow. Here's what I know, guys. Okay.
Well, here you just talk through it, and and just to be as descriptive as you can. Pretend we're presenting how to do motion graphics and visual effects to an audience that is unable to see.
Well,
excellent.
Let me. Oh God, how do I reset? Boom, like this. There we go. So, yeah, I've got this haze layer and I've got the flakes layer, and that is the secret to a good blizzard. I did this there's a shot in Spy vs. Guy where it cuts to this big like snowy slope, and we're going toward in the middle of nowhere, and there's a text that says Russia somewhere, and this is the blizzard effect that I layered over stock footage. Now, how to make it appear on top of all of this. And you guys speak up if I ever come back visually. I'm going to drop all this stuff into Super Comp. And there are a couple things that I can do to make this snow pop out on top of the background. One of the kind of easiest things you can do, but this last resort thing you could do is on your plate, just lower the white point a tad and see, and like that will start to create,
that already starts looking hazy.
it also helps
nice.
it look hazy 100%.
You in the audience will have to trust me on this, but it looks hazier now.
It updated to you scrolling down through the presets.
Oh my gosh. All right. So if I go, I wonder if I go.
I just want to know who's holding those frames. Like, I imagine what YouTube is holding those frames somewhere. From
No, it's playing
minutes ago?
just fine on OBS. That makes no sense to me.
It is bizarre. This happened with our Restream server the other day, I think, for people, didn't it?
Oh, is it happening on a Restream side?
I don't mean to put anything on blast. I'm just curious.
So weird.
It looked like it's jumped forward to at least seeing your stock footage now.
Yes,
Oh my
we can
God.
see your stock footage.
That's nuts. What if I hit stop streaming and start streaming really fast?
No. Because then it'll stop the stream.
Will it? We don't know.
That's what the stop
What if
stream
you?
is.
What if you?
But if you go
empty
off
your-
and back on, I
your
wonder if it can stay
cache?
connected real fast.
What if you close and reopen After Effects?
All right, I can try it.
Save first.
Okay. Save. Quit. All right.
The stream also seems to be way behind us talking, which it not normally is.
I've closed After Effects. I'm reopening After Effects.